Hey folks, hope you're doing good today. Now I'm continuing on with the Roundup shows for the next couple of weeks, and what I wanted to do today is not really a best of, but I wanted to talk about a new style of music that's come through. We've had a number of bands doing it on the channel. Most of them seem to be from the UK, but we've got one other band as well from Poland today. So I'll say it's a European thing, more so than American or anywhere else in the world. And what they're calling themselves on their pages and stuff is Nu-Metalcore and Nu Hardcore, and not any that's NU, like new metal. And it's interesting that these bands have all kind of gravitated around that name. I'm not quite sure what makes them new, like new metal, what aspect of new metal they've brought into their music. To me, what it sounds like is it's got a certain tone and a certain sound to the guitars and to the general mix and the way the vocals are. But the mix as well is done in a certain way. It's modern, and it's got a certain clarity to it. It's got a modern edge to it. And when these bands have come through on the channel, I have mentioned, these guys have got that certain sound. And I did think it was a UK sound, but as I say, we have got one band from Poland doing it as well. And I'm just going to say that it's kind of the latest wave of metalcore and hardcore metalcore that's coming through from the younger generations. And it sounds cool. It's got a new edge to it. It's hard to make a new genre nowadays. It's totally different from anything that's come before because music's pretty saturated in that way. But when you can bring in a fresh edge and you kind of make a new kind of subgenre, if you like, in that way, that's very cool. I like to keep up with the latest and greatest and see what's going on in the metal scene. I'm not one of those people that's stuck in their ways and will only like the bands from their heyday. I did think like that at one point, but I moved on from it. And nowadays I just love consuming any new music. That's why I started doing the channel as well. And these bands have caught my ear that they've come through with a new kind of sound and a new kind of edge. Very cool. We've got 4 of them to check out today. As I say, 3 of the bands are all from the UK. So it does seem to be a very UK-centric thing, and it's a new wave thing coming through in the UK. I'm totally out of touch with the UK now, living in Portugal, but via doing this show, it seems that's the way it is. But as I say, it's why we've got another band from Poland, so maybe it's just a European thing that it's the European edge, because we do find, and that one thing I do like checking out bands all over the world is certain countries, certain continents do have their own edges. You can kind of tell when it's an American band. I've got an ear for British bands because I'm British. You can generally get an ear for kind of Japanese bands and Asian bands in that way as well. The South American bands have got their own style and stuff they like to do. So it's cool to check out bands from all over the world, and you do get an ear for the different kinds of sounds that are coming through. And I would say, yeah, this does seem to be a European edge. Maybe at some point in the next few years, the Americans will get hold of it as well and see what they do with it. So let's get into the bands, and I'll shut up talking about that. The first band we're going to check out today is a band we only checked out a couple of weeks ago, and this is really what made me think about doing this video, because I said in that video, these guys seem to have that edge that we've heard a few times now, and they are from the UK again as well. And I was saying, yeah, it seems to come out the UK. So this is Guilt Trip. We're going to listen to their track again. This is Fraction of Time. Let's give it a spin. Dope.
Everything that I feel inside of me, feel all that I am. I'm afraid you tell me on 1,000 times. Now I pray that you live forever. Everything I loved it came to dust. Feel all that I am. Maybe my forgiveness will take you deeper than I ever can. Now you are Christian and suffering. It's the only thing that you have left. It won't be long until the weight of your conscience crushes through your fucking skin. Through your fucking skin. It's your eyes and you know it's skinny. My premonition will dissolve inside. I couldn't take his blood on your hands, but I could live with yours on mine. The more I fantasize, the more I feel confined. And the more I hate, and the more I bleed. All I see is red. I think I've waited for long enough. Everything that I feel inside of me, feel all that I am. I'm afraid you taught me on 1,000 times. Now I pray that you live forever. Everything I loved it came to dust. Feel all that I am. Maybe my forgiveness will take you deeper than I ever can. The more I fantasize, the more I feel confined. Then the more I hate, and the more I bleed. Now you're Christian and suffering.
Cool breakdown.
It's the only thing that you have left. It won't be long until the weight of your conscience crushes through your fucking yes.
Yeah. Very nice. Modern sounding music. It does sound different to stuff that's come before, but it has got elements of stuff that's come before. It's got a hardcore edge. It's got a UK hardcore edge, I would say, to it. It's got that metalcore edge. It's more of a kind of classic-y metalcore edge as well. It's not really like the modern metalcore stuff, which has gone a bit softer. It's more chuggy and chunky. But it's got a modernness to it. You've got the nice kind of harmonics and stuff in there, more modern riffs. The guitar tone's more modern. The mix sounds great, nice and loud, nice and pumped up and chunky. The drums are nice and punchy as well. The drummer did a nice job in this track, adding extra fills and stuff within the chugs just to make it more interesting and spice it up. Very, very cool. Just a nice, aggressive, hardcore-y vocal that goes well with the music as well. Some of these bands do break out into a little bit of melodic stuff, like they did with this breakdown where it went to the clean section. Sometimes they had a little bit of atmospheric, melodic stuff, which you'll see in some of the other bands today. But yeah, the tracks are solid. They move through it nicely, and they've got lots of different sections going on in it, not just verse, chorus, dope. The next band we're going to check out, we didn't check these guys out for a while. This is kind of more at the start of the year that we heard these guys. This is P.U.L.S.E, another band from the UK. The track they've got for us that we're going to check out today is called Purity, featuring Jack Dunn of Creak. Let's give it a spin. dope. Sick drumming in this one. I like these soft breakdowns, atmospheric. It's a nice split within the music to then go back into the heaviness. Just gives it some else, some extra to the music, you know. It's a great track. Loads of different riffs and edges coming into the music. That great breakdown into more softer atmospheric stuff. It just splits the track up, you know. It gives you more stuff to listen to than just straight up guitar riffs and chuggy stuff. Great guitar tone in this one. More of a Bauman stringiness, low endy. Great riffs in there, sick drumming to go along with it as well. I love the mix-ups at the start with the blast beats and stuff. Yeah, these guys bring in a lot to this track, but it all works out, but it's in a modern way. First time I heard this one, all those different sections caught me off guard because I really wasn't expecting it. It's not typical for this kind of music. And I thought, yeah, this is a bit fresh, this is a bit new. Very, very nice. Let's keep it going. We've got another UK band to check out. This is Seeker. Their track for us is called Pressure. Let's just listen to it. Well, now we can actually crank this one up. That's a great place to put a ting on a ride. What you do here in this music that the drummers do nicely, instead of just leaving open gaps between the chugs, doing a little fill, doing a ting on the ride, making it spicy, making it interesting. I love that. seems all these bands like to bring in at least one section where it widens out into something a bit more atmospheric, not as tight, not as chuggy. It just brings some variation to the track. I like it a lot. There's lots of different little bits and bobs to listen into this music on. Few layers of vocal going on at this section, which thickens it up. Cool. Cool video for this one as well. I'm not sure, was that the same Dark North that we had on the last one as well, maybe? No, that was MWA. So, these guys, I think if you're listening along now and this is the first time you heard it, you might be starting to get an ear for this kind of music and what kind of stuff goes into it, the ingredients that make up the, you know, the final recipe. And I think it's all sounding very, very cool. Nice little bits on the drums, that guitar tone's coming through nicely, a modern guitar tone. Genty, like there's a genty element to it, but more riffy, and then into some wider atmospheric-y sections in there to bring it, you know, bring in some variation to that. I think these bands are doing it very nicely. Very, very cool. Now we'll listen to the last band today, and these aren't out of the UK. These guys are from Poland. We've had a few bands coming through from Poland on the channel, getting our name around there. Mostly kind of black metal and darker stuff, and the Polish do that very, very nicely. But they have also got some nicer modern edges, some beatdowny stuff and stuff like that as well, which is coming through nicely. So I would say keep an eye on Poland if you haven't already, because there's some great music coming out of that country. This is Violent Answer. Their track for us today is called No One to Follow. This is featuring Bartosz Jankowski. Let's give it a spin. No, we don't need to see this one.
You think you gotta walk me with someone you ain't going fit. You just get pussy in a corner pulling shit off the shit. This song is not about the time, but I guess it's part one. Spend you nothing quite often, bitch, now is the fucking time. All you want all the time and nothing all that back. You think you broke me from life, but you just lost the country. How many other people will you push aside? If you just can't stand the fuck, then we have you something to say. What you say about the man that brought you all in pain? Bitch, you don't know what's coming till you cross with me. Then you got a smart conclusion from the journey we had. Me, I suggest you want. No one is giving this shit.
Got a good energy.
You never got out of gate. You are not who you think you are. That's why you want to.
Drummers have done a great job in all the bands. Drums sound great. Great energy in this one. down into something more atmospheric and wider. All the bands have ticked that box today. Great one. Loud and powerful. We didn't have to turn this one up whatsoever. And this track just sounded so modern as well with that mix. The guitars are just right up into your ears. Loud, punchy drums. The drummer did an absolute sick job in this track. The drumming is a big part of this track because the drummers are doing stuff within the chugs, within the fills, moving from one section to the next with a big long fill or something like that, working the toms a lot in this kind of music as well, like in a hardcore-y way, rolling down the toms on the breakdown sections and things like that. Just doing a great job on the kit, working the kit in a very nice way to go along with the riffs and everything else. Dope. Nice aggressive vocal in this kind of music. You do get some breakout into some melodic sections on those more atmospheric breakdowns. I don't mind that whatsoever because it goes with the vibe of the track at that section. The one band did layer in some screaming vocals as well over the top of that, which was pretty cool as well. So there's different ways to approach, that breakdown section, which all of the bands have had today, where it opens out a bit wider. You'd lose the kind of genty guitariness at that point, and do some, either some arpeggios or something like that, or break it down to some synths or whatever. But just have a section in the track where it breaks down into something more atmospheric, and you lose the drive and the punch and the kind of the gentiness of it all up to that point. I think it's a very nice break within the music, and there's lots of different things that you can do to have that and do it in that way. So yeah, very, very nice. I think these bands are doing great, and now we've listened to them all back to back like we have today. You really start to get a flavour of what this music's all about, what they're trying to do. And I'll tell you what was interesting, because I was trying to think, what am I going to call this video? What's the genre that I'm going to round up today? And I looked at on all their pages, and 3 of the bands out of the 4 have got new in there. There's 2 of the bands call themselves NuMetalcore, and the last band we just checked out called themselves Nu-Hardcore. But it was interesting that all of those bands have decided to add the new NU tag to their genre. Now, listening to them today, because I wanted to keep an ear out, what was it that made them call themselves that? And I'm not too sure, if I'm honest, about what aspect of nu metal these guys think they're bringing into their music, because it's not the rappy edge really. It's not the DJs and scratching and all of that hip-hoppy side of nu metal. That's not what I would say these guys are bringing into it. So I'm interested, and I wouldn't mind if they made a quick comment about it. Why did they call themselves nu? What was the aspect of nu metal that they think they're bringing into this style of genre? Because to be honest with you, I wouldn't really know what to say about that. It's got a cool groove, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a very nu metal groove. The guitar tones aren't particularly nu metal either. The vocals aren't particularly nu metal and whiny and all of that kind of stuff that you can get in a lot of nu metal bands. So I'll be interested to know what these guys think is nu metal about their music. But it seems that's the name that they've decided to go with: Nu-Metalcore, Nu-Hardcore. We've had some new beatdown as well from some bands in Europe as well. So maybe that's the European thing. These guys have grown up with nu metal bands. That's their influence for some way in making this music and getting into metal and all the rest of it. And that's what they've decided to go with their tag. So it's very cool music. Whatever genre they've decided decided to call themselves, and I'll be definitely keeping an eye out more for this stuff in 2022, because I think we're going to hear more and more of this coming down the pipe, and it'd be interesting to see how it evolves and goes further from here, because I will say it's a new subgenre of hardcore and metalcore metal, and it's very, very cool. It seems to be more of a European thing, so we'll see if the Americans ever get hold of it and what they do with it as well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that today. That's what I'm going to talk about today, this style of music and these 4 bands. Hope you've enjoyed these bands, and keep an eye out for this style of music in 2022. We'll see you around. Bye.